Welcome to the In the Hunt podcast. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and now Spotify. And don't forget to interact with us on Twitter at jmendel94, and Topher is found at Cochran108. If you want to have some one-on-one time, talk a little Dolphins, maybe talk about who knows what else. All right, well, let's get you up and get on with the show. Week 6, we're here. Welcome back to the In the Hunt podcast. My name's Jake Mendel, and I'm joined by Topher Cochran. Now, if you're a really detailed individual, you'll notice I said week 6 instead of episode 6. That is because moving forward, instead of doing one, 35 to 50 minute episode every week, we're going to give you 2 half-an-hour shows, one with an interview, one without an interview. Topher, how do you feel about that? How you doing? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Jake. I'll say that it's it's easier to listen to. Like it's one of those things where we're not asking too much of the listener.
Right.
It's 30 minutes. Like it's in your face, 30 minutes, hurry up offense. Boom, we make our points and we have fun, and that's it. And I just think it's easier to consume rather than a 1 hour podcast, which is not. I'm not against it. Like, well, I'm sure we'll start doing those once the season starts, but for right now, it's just easy to consume. That's all.
You know what else is easy to consume?
What?
Dude, Capri Sun. So, when we got back and we had last week's show, we were on, the bliss of vacation. We were still, in the moment. So, I went to the grocery store the other day, and I was walking down the juice aisle, and when we were on vacation, we went to the beach, and I got a thing of Capri Sun. I'm basically a shark when there's blood in the water. Now, if I see Capri Sun, dude, I'm addicted. I don't know what to do. When's the last time you had Capri
Sun? Not recently. I still have the muscle memory of punching a little yellow straw in that little white patch, and I would sometimes over push it and go right through the back of the Capri Sun. But yeah, those are amazing.
But you're just a good running back. You like to hit the hole.
Yeah, my favorite part about what I do with the Capri Sun, and have you ever taken your Capri Sun and actually poured it in a cup?
No. Why would you?
Totally throws you off. It totally throws you off the game. Because if you have fruit punch, you're thinking something like a red. No, It's like brown.
I'm convinced that if you take Capri Sun out of the package, it doesn't taste the same. It loses the plastic texture that makes it.
The aluminum, the silver, the plastic adds flavor.
Yeah,
it's like a sweetener.
I need my cheap plastic straw, otherwise this stuff's gonna taste terrible, just straight terrible.
This is how I live. This is how I grew up on Capri Suns. I would try to get 2. I would try to get 2 Capri Suns in lunch when it's elementary school and middle school. The 2 is perfect.
Right.
You get the 1 and you would keep sucking it basically until there's no more liquid in there and there's no more air in there. And there's that thin line in the back from the straw, and you basically just, you had a good day. And then if you just wanted to be a little, you're just sucking on air. And if you wanted to be a D-bag, you would blow it up. Yep. You would blow the container up and then pop it with your foot. You would stomp on it in the street to make a loud pop, or the straw would shoot out.
Dude, see, that's why, just like kiwi strawberry. Now, yeah, think about, dude.
Orange was the worst.
The orange was the worst. And we could go into how bad orange tang was.
We can go into analytics. We can go into the analytics of Capri Suns if we really felt like it.
We could break down the numbers on the depth chart, but we're going to do that for the Dolphins later. So we'll pump the brakes there for a second. And Topher, I've mentioned it before, but we have this nice little group chat on Twitter where we just kind of, it's like one big bulletin board where people just throw stuff, and you just kind of look at it when you want. Sometimes you just ignore it. The other night, it was midnight, Friday going into Saturday, which I guess technically would be Saturday morning, but I have a problem with saying that midnight is in the morning. But I guess it's outrageous. And you were spending your Friday night watching espresso videos that you wanted to share with the group. Care to explain?
Yeah. What if I understand?
Oh, 100%.
I would. Well, first of all,
You're the
I will
hunted.
say that I'm the
And
hunted. Well, I will. First of all, I will say that I'm more like there's when it comes to the group chats on Twitter, you're more likely to respond to those than like your own personal group chats, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like at least for me, like I hate group chats on the phone. It's almost like I get annoyed getting invited into one or just like getting sucked into one. But Twitter group chats, I'm hooked on them. But I'm not trying to distract. I'm not trying to deflect. I'm not trying to filibuster. As for the videos, the espresso videos, yes, I have. I was curious. My friend and I was pretty laid back that night. I watched Jurassic Park, and then I like got sucked into watching Capri. I mean, not Capri Sun. Espresso videos on YouTube and how to make them.
Wait,
And
wait,
then
wait,
I
wait,
went
wait,
the
wait, wait.
extra mile.
I
What?
think
What
we
you
need to
miss?
go back. I think I'm gonna call bullshit because you've definitely said you were watching Jurassic Park another day. How many times have you seen
Actually,
Jurassic Park?
well, first of all, Jacob, is I can call you by your government name, right? Because now I'm getting wound up. First of all, Jacob, there are 3 Jurassic Parks. So one, take that for your mind, all
No,
right?
there's
I watched
one.
the first.
There is
Shut up.
one.
Shut up. Look. Shut up. Thank you. All right. So the first one I watched, and then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to rewatch the second one, Lost World. So I watched Lost World Friday night. All right. I wanted to get my little Jeff Goldblum fix, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna also go on YouTube and watch, you know, espresso videos and how to make them because I was just generally curious. Because you know what? I want to make them. I want to learn how to make them. I find them addicting, and I'm tired of paying $5 at Starbucks.
So that's your efficient use of time is midnight is the time to figure this out.
Yeah, and you also like get you like into a dark state of sleepiness because they're so boring.
That's fair. That's fair. And you
It's
know
like watching the Golf Channel at night.
you know what I find really interesting?
What?
How right now, as we speak, as we're recording this, the best baseball players in the world are like competing against each other in an all-star game. But we want to talk about Ryan Tannehill being mic'd up for a 3-minute Twitter video. How hyped was that? How great was that?
It was one of those where you're like, you know what? I'll watch it.
Yep.
And it's just Tannehill talking the entire. It's obviously it's about him, and
Right.
I don't know. I was like, my takeaway was one, he doesn't know Albert Wilson's my name yet. He also, yeah, it was basically it. Like I don't know, it was cool to watch. Like it was one of those things where you're like, all right, this is pretty badass. Like you're watching, it's still football. Like,
Would you
and
rather
we're at the
watch
point
that
right
for
now.
3 hours or the All-Star game?
I'll say this: if there was a live stream of a Dolphins OTA on right now, I'd probably watch it.
Over the All-Star game?
Like, oh heck yeah, I didn't even watch the home run derby.
Yeah.
I forgot it was on, and that's just more how I feel about baseball. Like I know you're in the Northeast and you go to Red Sox games and all
The
that,
Sox.
but man, the Sox. But down here, man, I can't. I don't care. Like it's been beaten out of me because of the history of baseball down here.
What,
So
you don't like buying a double Whopper from Burger King and getting free tickets with it?
I didn't even know about that. You guys have a promotion of that?
No, I just remember hearing it, and it's probably a wicked old thing that's not even true, but I believe in.
See, there's your Boston right there. Wicked. Like I don't even hear that down there. You guys, the minute I start talking baseball, you start your Red Soxonian comes out of you. But yeah, it's just been beaten out of you. So if there was an OTA on right here, or just like some actually and football, and that's what it comes down to, right? Like we just want to consume football. The World Cup's over, and we have about 2 weeks left, right? Give or take.
Well,
Until the
rookies go tomorrow.
yeah, that doesn't mean anything though.
Oh, come on. Jaceki and pads? Come on. That means everything.
Well, I will say this about that video. Jaceki was kind of, he did, reach out to Tannehill. Apparently, he doesn't know how to run routes because he was like, hey, keep running with your head up. Like, don't just, like, slow down. Which, like, I was like, you know what? Maybe this guy doesn't get it. And I'm basing this off of a 3-minute and 50-second video.
But you're breaking down the tape. You're doing a
yeah. I definitely broke down the tape. I definitely charted it. But it was fun to watch, man. Like it was just it's good. Like 30, while you're sitting down, hand in your pants, like doing nothing, waiting for some, on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday night. That's perfect.
Feeling good on a Tuesday. Outside of that Tannehill video, what I saw a lot of on Twitter is, wow, Dolphins Twitter is getting really antsy with the national perspective about this team. Wouldn't you agree? It's like one of the signs that OTAs are starting. It's like the if we were to play bingo, you'd get a spot for pissed fan base
about your off-season bingo card. You basically got that. I mean, right now we're falling in line with the trend of off-season topics like talking points. Yep. First, it's the draft. And then it's rookies report for mini camp and all that stuff and OTAs. And then now we're getting to the point where like football is right there. So now it's all these like season predictions come out. Right. And the Dolphins I mean you kind of started yesterday, and I feel like you should adjust where you're throwing your spear at. And you should actually throw it in at ESPN and not Bill Barnwell. Because
ESPN in general?
Yeah, at least Bill Barnwell didn't have the Dolphins dead last.
Okay.
And now the fact that they're 30, like they had that. I'll let you explain it more so you can go more in depth. But in a sense, yeah, Dolphin fans are getting pissed off, and I kind of agree with it. But it's like a meaningless anger. It's just being mad because a lot of it is just you don't think the team isn't good, but we're not that bad. If that makes any sense.
We're not that bad.
Hey, we're not in last place. We're in the bottom half though. All right, give us that at least.
We're pretty mediocre, and we take that to heart. So the reason I wanted to talk about this for a second is because the NFL Network, these were the guys this time that were saying the Dolphins don't have a lot of hope, the future is not too bright, but Pro Football Focus also wrote an article that the Dolphins could be like a surprise team, and that's all the Kool-Aid I need. I'll be retweeting this article in like October when the Dolphins start 5-2 before they lose 6 in a row. I'll be tweeting this article like knew it. This was the year, but it's gonna be great. And it's just weird to see that that's where they should be. They're that team they got a shot. They get real lucky. They score 14 points in 3 minutes against the Rams after be shutting out all game. They're pretty lucky. If Jai can run 60 yards in overtime against the Bills, they'll get pretty lucky. But to say 1-15, we're kind of picking straws here. But it's like, come on, we're not that bad.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Tannehill just hasn't played in a year, and it's hard to get excited for him. It was hard to get excited at him before his injury, and a lot of it is, face it does come down to who's playing quarterback back there.
Right.
It does, and the Dolphins and the national media and Dolphin fans haven't seen Tannehill, since Arizona of 2 years ago, in right. That season where they made the playoffs. No one has seen Tannehill play, and so I think that's what it comes down to. Is you got a player who's not sexy, on top of not seeing that player play. And, since he's not sexy, it's not like Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, where he missed half the season last year, and you're like, he can come back and he'll come back this year, and you still have the Packers leading winning the division. He's just not a sexy player, and I think that's it. And some of it could just be, them showing interest in quarterbacks throughout the draft process, never pulling the trigger, saying, we're going to go all in with Tannehill, and that's where that's kind of where the tea leaves are. Is you go all in with Tannehill. If he plays well, great. If he doesn't, then you are bad.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty easy to get, but the media, I just think they haven't watched the Dolphins and they haven't paid attention to Tannehill, which I get. And I was thinking about this too, Jake. This team is set up perfect this person is set up perfect where if the team does bad this year, or basically if they're bottom half, Adam Gase is going to go away scot-free. Where he's the type of dude who can lose his job, and since he's still respected around the league, he'll get a job real quick. Oh. Tannenbaum, he's done. I think this is Tannehill's last stop. Tannenbaum's last stop as in the front office. You screwed the Jets up. You were successful with the Jets, but you jacked up their cap. And now you're kind of doing the same thing with the Dolphins, and from what we've heard is he's not really running the show in terms of picking players. So I could totally see Tannenbaum getting the axe this year. And then, if Gase is gone, then he can get a job real quick because he's got some cachet around the league still. Like he's one of those dudes, those football nerds he's respected by his peers.
Right.
And that's what I think that's it, man. Like I feel like that's kind of the whole thing with this team.
I don't think there's kind of a shot Gase gets fired. I think you're right with Tannenbaum, and I think the signing with him, and I don't know if he's ever been like the puppet master for everything, but I think Stephen Ross just wanted people who are known around the league. They have some sort of connections, and they don't necessarily have to pull all the strings. So I mean, I could even see just Tannenbaum staying around. I don't really know if he's really someone behind like the issues like around this team.
It comes down to last year. I mean, when they not last year, but when they lost, they you lose Pouncey, and I think the big thing is just Sue. Once you get rid of Sue, it's kind of like, oh man, that defense is going to be a disaster.
Right.
And that could be like I don't know. There's so many things. A lot of them don't make sense. Some of them do make sense, and some of them just come down to they're the Dolphins.
Right, exactly. And I guess it's pretty cool though. I feel like they'll get a lot of attention, say if they're better. And I don't know why people get so mad because I think one of the greatest feelings in the world is "I told you so." So I mean,
oh my God, yeah.
If we're saving these tweets, we'll have some ammunition a little while to go down the road. And one of the topics you wanted to talk about that I thought was really interesting was how PFF has the Dolphins' offensive line currently ranked 20th. So This is something we haven't seen on the Dolphins for a very long time. And what makes this interesting is because they're not the worst. And that includes grades with a Laramie Tunsil having a 59, Kilgore having 51, and Jesse Davis having a 40 out of I think 100 scale, I think it is. And then we have Sitton at 86 and James at 80. But Topher, is this finally the year where we have running backs getting some huge holes consistently, maybe games where we can finally run the ball, run the clock out?
Well, I want to start off with this thing that you're referring to with Pro Football Focus is at the end of the season last year, they were the 29th ranked offensive line. With the additions of Sitton and Kilgore, they've moved up 9 spots to 20th. So just signing those guys alone has made the difference.
Right.
Because, and the thing is with this team is you've seen it. It comes down to health.
Right.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they had Juwan James and Brandon Albert, that offensive line was rolling, and next thing you know, Brandon Albert blows his knee out, and then Juwan James gets hurt. Like this team, it's the argument that Tannehill supporters love is he just needs the O-line because when you get him the O-line, the offense is different, and that could be it this year. Except the only difference now is you could actually get some running lanes.
Exactly, and Kenyon Drake, also according to Pro Football Focus, is a top 15 running back. So when you look at how...
And it's not hard to move up from that. It's not hard to move up out of that because, they have guys, that's weird, man. Like, Pro Football Focus is sitting here giving you actual data the entire time.
Right.
While everybody else is just kind of pontificating with, free agents acquisitions.
And yeah, it just makes me wonder, where are they getting this from if Pro Football Focus is going to say, all right, they have a decent line, pretty good running back, they give you all this compliments, and then you can't say they have these good positions and then say they're the worst team in the league. So I just wonder how bad some people think Kenyon Drake is, or how bad Tannehill might be, because the Tannehill I know he's going to get clobbered and he's going to get back up. So I don't know if that's
Pro Football Focus supports those. Yeah. They support that, where he's the best, one of the best quarterbacks when getting blitzed.
Exactly. So I don't really know. I think I'm cool with it. I'm cool with rating us third to last because you can all cry about it forever.
And like I said, if Tannehill plays well, then next thing you know, they're not going to be the 32nd ranked team in terms of projections for the next 3 years, because that's why they did it.
Exactly. And I was thinking too, so let's look at just the AFC East for a second, and we're going to try to project here what the future is going to be like. So you might as well call us That's So Raven. I don't know if that's before your time or anything like that, but that's what we're going to go with. Now, Topher, the Patriots, we're going to say they're going to win the division. They're going to win it until they don't. We're just going to lock them in. And when you look at the rosters of the Bills and Jets, do you really see anything better than the Dolphins?
So I can see where the Jets and Bills can go two ways. The one way is both quarterbacks have pretty solid seasons the next 2 to 3 years, kind of like Derek Carr.
Right.
And that'll take them till they're about in their mid to late 20s. And then who knows after that? Because quarterback is such a funny position that these dudes could be terrible for the next it is average for the next 6 years, just like Tannehill was.
Right.
And next thing you know, they're balling because they've kind of figured out the game, and the hope is that these teams could build around Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. The hope is that. I don't hope it, but if you're a fan and the goal is you build around those guys.
Here's a question. Who would you rather have? So, Josh Allen at quarterback with LaShawn McCoy, who we still don't know if he's going to play, but for the sake of this argument, we say will. Say your skill guys are LaShawn McCoy, Zay Jones, Kelvin Benjamin, and Jeremy Curley. Or Tannehill at quarterback, and you have Reggie Bush, Brian Hartline, and Devone Bess. Who are you more comfortable with?
Man, that is an in-the-hunt team if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, because that was the Dolphins in 2012. So when I look at this Bills team, they have a little bit of fun on defense. There's a lot of names, like Jerry Hughes, Kyle Williams, Shaq Lawson, Trumaine Edmonds, rookie, Dolphins really wanted him, Lorenzo Alexander, and then our boy Vontae Davis, Micah Hyde, and Tre'Davious White was one of the better rookies in the league last year. So that defense has a lot going for it. So could you see the Bills 7-9, Jets? I
this
think,
year?
Yeah. Bills 7-9. I think. You don't think so?
You got a rookie quarterback, man, and who knows? We've seen it with Tannehill. Did they go 6-10 that first year with Tannehill?
They went 7-9 with Reggie Bush, Brian Hartline, and Devone Bess.
Well, wasn't the questions with Josh Allen coming out that he's too raw?
He's what?
He's too raw as a quarterback. That he kind of needs some time to figure things out.
That's what I said about Tannehill. He was a wide receiver. Did you forget he was a wide receiver in college? I
forgot. I do remember that first game though, how J.J. Watt just destroyed him he started the whole batted ball at the line of scrimmage thing.
That was a 2-year affair. There's been the Tannehill eras. It started with the batted balls, and then it was go, and then it was 20-yard box, and now we have injury prone. It's different chapters of his career.
For me, it would be LaShawn McCoy. Right. Because if he's out, then they're done. They have nothing, and he makes the difference. He's nasty, man. He's disgusting as running back.
But the AFC East, I think even if you look at the Jets, I think Sam Darnold was the best quarterback in that draft. You can't see Robbie Anderson and Quincy Enunwa having huge years if this guy actually gets to start.
Define huge year.
They can go 7-9. They can go 7-9, like Brian Hartline and Devone Bess.
Sure, I guess. I mean, they're gonna have to beat the Dolphins, which you're saying the Dolphins are gonna lose those games then.
I think the Dolphins could definitely win these games too, but I think when you look at all three of these teams, I don't think you can say the AFC East is one of the worst, and that includes the Dolphins. With the rookie quarterbacks, I think people put too much into how bad a team can be, because there's a 60% turnover rate in the playoffs every single year. It's been that way for at least the last 8 years. I don't think you're going to see many 0-16 teams like the Browns. I don't think you're going to see many teams with 1 or 2 wins. I think we're going to start seeing a league like we saw with the Eagles last year, where any team can get really hot and go on a run and go down in history for looking great. I think there's a really good threshold of talent in the NFL right now where it's weird to say that either of these teams are in the bottom of the league, I guess.
I mean, the Bills did make the playoffs last year.
That's what I'm screaming. I mean, the Jags won 2 games.
I forgot who they had last year. They had Tyrod Taylor. They benched him, and who they put in after that? The dude. Oh my God, he got picked 6 times against the Chargers.
Nathan Peterman. And you still made the playoffs. That's insane.
Yes. They still made the playoffs. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, probably, right? Like, assuming their skill position players are healthy.
I mean, they don't really have a lot for skill positions in Buffalo, but...
No, it's not sexy. I would say it's not sexy.
Not at all. Not at all.
Both teams, actually, I would say all three teams don't have sexy skill position players outside of LeSean McCoy. And we're saying
what
that.
Gesicki looks like?
Yes, I have. He's get sexy. But, I mean, the reason why we're saying that about LeSean McCoy is because we've at least seen it out of him.
Right. That's true.
While everybody else is kind of like a question mark. And running backs, man, they fall off. Like, I don't know how he's still doing it. I give that guy 2 to 3 more years in the league just because of the position.
It's insane to think about that because you see so much turnover, but other than like McCoy, there's really no one that's done it as long. I mean, you look at what the Steelers are terrified to give Le'Veon Bell long-term money. Terrified. And yet you have McCoy like at the top of the league and his teams make the playoffs. So that goes against the argument where, you don't necessarily pay running backs. You can see that they really can change the team, and I think Drake has that ability. Just to kind of wrap it back to Dolphins a little bit.
Yeah, he does. I think what you want to see out of Drake is that game against New England.
Yep.
That's his peak.
Give me that
like
Madden spin move, like on repeat. Just like for the rest of my life.
I mean, that's the game where, like, if you were to ask, like, I asked you yesterday last week after the show, like, hey, what Dolphin game should I watch? And you mentioned the New England Patriots game on Monday night because the way that team looked, for me, it came down to, like, Kenny Drake because I love running backs who could do things like that, where you could line them up at wide receiver and the offense still works.
And then hit the hole like a Capri Sun.
It hit the hole like a Capri Sun through the back.
Nice. Where can you find us?
You can find us on our personal Twitter accounts. I am Cochran108. Jake Mendel is at jmendel94. You could also find us on Spotify now. We are actually on Spotify. That's the crazy thing. Since we're on Spotify, all you got to do is just go a Spotify search, In the Hunt, a Miami Dolphins podcast, and we're there. You could also find us on iTunes. You could click and subscribe when we tweet out the show, or you can go ahead and just search on iTunes and just type in the Hunt. It's pretty easy. If you don't have iTunes, then you can go ahead and just listen to the show through Podbean, which is where we post everything at. And in fact, on all these platforms, I encourage you to please subscribe to us, like the show, rate the show. Give us your review. It helps us out when it comes down when you're actually searching for the show. It's easier to look for us. And so please listen to us on all those platforms, even on YouTube. You can look for us on YouTube as well. Go to all those different platforms.
Every review.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not afraid. We're not afraid to talk to our critics. We're not going to bow out of press time.
We'll break down all 22 of the review, and we'll figure out where the listeners are going wrong. But Topher, I got one more question for you. Do you want to tell them who our guest is and what we're kind of going to get into in our second episode this week?
I'm not going to lie. I don't even know his first name, but I can tell you his Twitter handle. It's at Sutton Laces Out. Huge Dolphin fan, and that's the thing is when it comes down to this is we want to get dudes who actually care about the team. We've had Eric Elizondo on, we had Houts, we had Matt on. You're basically your big brother. We're gonna have Sutton on, huge Dolphin fan. So that's who we're having on our next pod.
We're gonna basically steal everyone from Finsider Radio, and when you're listening to the next episode, I'm not gonna tell Topher Sutton's first name. We're gonna try to go the entire episode without saying his first name. I think we can do it. Do you think we can do it?
I'm looking forward. I think we can. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be next podcast. But next podcast.
To be continued, as always. All right, Topher. As always, it is a lot of fun talking with you. As Topher mentioned, rate, comment, subscribe, iTunes, Podbean. The list goes on and on. Thank you for listening to us. And Topher, fins up.
Fins up. Capri Suns.